Y'all want to see me hit a skill check without using my hands?
Hey, I'll try not to take up too much of your time, but you should check out the Twitch if you're into that kind of thing. And if you're not, you could, I don't know, hit the like button if you like the video. You don't gotta hit it otherwise, but if you like the video... Okay, let's get to the video. As releases come and go and people's opinions follow, I've noticed a lot about both behavior and the DBD community. For example, the community often complains that the game feels stale and their favorite perk or killer seems weak, but they immediately lose their mind the second behavior tests anything in the PTB. The community actively discourages behavior to try new things. No, not just killer players and not just survivor players. The community. You'll see complaints everywhere about perks feeling too similar when they release, but you'll also see the same complaints if behavior tries to make a non-meta fun perk. This last year, we've really felt the consequences of the community's actions, as it often feels like behavior didn't even take risks in situations where they previously would have. Because of the constant barking and arguing within the community of DBD, a lot of amazing design choices go unnoticed, because the community would rather complain than improve. Let me say that again, not just killers, not just survivors. The community's loudest people are simply players that would rather complain than improve at the game. And yes, one definitely could argue that there isn't too much of a skill floor to Dead by Daylight. When looking at a killer that is considered to have a skill floor, the topic of discussion used to unanimously be the nurse. But as time goes on, people have started to realize that the nurse just isn't difficult. For me, it took me about 10 games on nurse to have a full grasp on her. If 10 games on a killer making you proficient is a skill floor, then I'd fully agree with the overarching statement that DBD has no skill floor. However, you're just looking in the wrong places. I'd like to introduce you, or reintroduce you, to End Transmission.
This is for my parents. Mom, Dad, Gabe. Something happened.
The Singularity suffered most from the middle child effect. The release directly before his was the notorious Tools of Torment, which brought us a horribly designed filler character who's even more mindless after her rework. To put simply, she was being argued about long before and long after Singularity would release. Following End Transmission, we'd be greeted with Alien. Though I have my personal nitpicks about that release, which you can watch in the top right corner, there's no debate that one of the two chapters is clearly going to stick out as the better sci-fi horror chapter. It's obviously going to be the franchise that's made over $1.6 billion in the worldwide box office, and not this little guy right here. I'm saying all these points because what I'm trying to say is whether it was from external factors or just personal distaste for the chapter, we moved on from this chapter really fast. I would even argue we moved on before we even gave it a chance. I say we because within a week of Singularity's release, I saw maybe one Singularity every time I'd hop on and play Survivor. I know this isn't a fair comparison, but just to show the stark contrast, think about Wesker's release and Chucky's release, and how months later, even a full chapter later, you can't seem to shake them. That's because there is a hype in the killer community about this killer and what it's capable of. Singularity, nobody even explored that. Even a lot of content creators took a step back and just said, it's a bad chapter, instead of exploring what the killer can really do, or what the killer is really capable of. So why did everyone move on so fast? Why did everyone lose interest so quickly? That's exactly why I'm making this video. Because Singularity had a steeper skill floor than nearly any other killer in the game, specifically due to his macro-centered kit. And you'll see the word macro thrown around a lot, especially when talking about Singularity, so let me just quickly define it. It's basically a term for all decision-making gameplay awareness. If you were to apply it directly to DBD, macro would be gen progress, pressure, map control, totem spawns if you have a hex, perk cooldown, survivor builds, what survivor has what exhaustion, what's going on this side of the map, is this gen being worked on, little things like that. On the Singularity, all of those things are twice as important because Singularity is the first killer of his kind. And when he released, people tried him out for a bit, decided he was weak, and took to Twitter complaining about another bad chapter release. As the masses continued on, some people realized what behavior was going for and continued to learn the killer long after the hype died. Once you learn how to properly play Singularity, your eyes will be completely open to how insanely strong this killer is in the right hands. But instead of the majority of people taking the time to learn the new killer they'd been waiting so long for, they instantly dropped them and complained that they wanted a killer that felt more unique, which baffles me because the Singularity has one of the most unique kit designs in this entire game. I mean, look at the roster. 50% of the entire roster's gameplay is hold M2 at pallet, and yet people were saying Singularity wasn't unique enough. Insane. So is that it? Was that the whole video? Singularity's actually good, but people refuse to climb his skill floor to truly understand his potential. No, not at all. Although all the information I just said is important because this entire chapter followed that exact rule. You guys remember a little niche perk that absolutely nobody used called Made for This? Do you remember that the arguments of some people saying it was weak and a waste of a perk slot? And the other half of the argument was that it was completely broken and should be nerfed? The one factor that separated those two opinions was skill. If you're a survivor holding a W into a dead zone and you're completely unaware of what to do with your distance, then 3% haste means absolutely nothing to you. But if you're a juicer grading the same pallet at a jungle gym for 5 minutes while the killer plays for BL3, then that haste makes all the difference in the entire world. Even the most meta killers in the game can slip up horribly if the survivor's playing with MFT in mind and playing around it well. So that's a very, very dead topic. Why do I bring up MFT? Because both Singularity and MFT were called for buffs by the first half of the community almost instantly. I'll even admit that I said Singularity needed a cam range buff when he first released because I said his range felt limited. But I quickly realized that range barrier is in place to make sure his skill ceiling doesn't exceed all of the other characters on the roster. The entire point is a giant callback to the skill difference in opinions. If Behavior would have listened to the loudest crowd, Singularity would have likely been overbuffed, extremely overpowered, and then gutted and shelved like most other strong on-release killers in this game. If MFT had been buff, I couldn't even imagine how broken this game would have been, not to mention the amount of subtle cheats that would have easily gone unnoticed. If you don't remember these opinions or you don't believe me that people had these opinions, you're obviously welcome to hop on Twitter, YouTube, and Reddit to go back to Singularity's release and see what people were saying. I still remember this release and people saying that MFT really needed a buff because it's useless. And all they were doing was airing out their own skill level. But hey, not too much on them because I did say Singularity needed a buff on release and I was wrong. So I'm in that same group too. I aired out my own skill level, I guess. And finally, a bit of a weaker point. I'd even argue that this same rule could be applied to Toba's Landing as well. Yes, it's Toba Landing. I call it Toba's. I can't not. I don't know why. And listen, you guys know I absolutely despise Behavior's map design team because if every map you released in the last 2 years have been called for reworks, then your map design team are either not doing their jobs or they're in dire need of new leadership. But I can genuinely say that I enjoy Toba's Landing on both Killer and Survivor. The whole map just feels like a playground and I personally love the artistic direction they took with it. Obviously, the loudest crowd is almost always the complainers, and you'll mostly see overwhelmingly negative opinions regarding this map, like, oh, the unique tiles are dumb and the assets are ugly. I'm sorry, but when you look at how horribly designed the other recent maps are in this game, Release Day Toba's was a sight for sore eyes, at least for me. Now I understand other people might not agree with me, which is why I'm more stating this as my opinion, but I personally believe that a huge portion of people that hate Toba's Landing so much are the same people who refuse to just learn the map and the unique tiles and the main building. My final question for that crowd of people is, why are you constantly excited for new content in this game if you already know you're just going to complain about it and not give it a chance? I think we should all look at end transmission and how Singularity's pick rate is actually quickly increasing in recent months, and his perks are being picked more, which by the way, on his release I predicted Force Hesitation was going to be meta at some point. We're stepping into that meta right now, dude. Anyways, that's all I have for today. I would love to know how you guys felt about this video. I'm still trying to figure out where I want to take this channel. If you have any ideas for videos or any topics you want me to make videos on, comment them below because I'd absolutely love more ideas. Also, if you haven't watched the Rise and Fall and Rise Again of DMS, I would love if you went and watched it. I'm really happy with that video and people seem to like it. So check that out if you haven't, and I'll see you guys next time. Adios.